Bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome back to Grade 8 French. This is the first of two parts of speech lessons, which are being held during Unité 3. Today's video is all about le pronom on. In today's lesson, we are going to learn how to use a new pronoun, or rather, it's a pronoun which you guys have seen a few times, both last year and even this year, and each turn I said, well, we'll talk about it later. Now, in English, we sometimes use the word one to refer to a person or a group of people. For example, you might hear a person say, one can find the answer in their textbook, or the brush can be found in one's bathroom. So just when we're talking about a person in general, not a specific person, just anyone. We can speak and write sentences that are similar to the examples on the last slide in French. To do this, we use this pronoun, on. So on is a pronoun that's used to refer just to anybody, just to the average person. The next slide describes why and how we use le pronom on. So in tomorrow's class, I'm going to give you a worksheet that's going to have some blank spaces, and what you're going to do is you're going to use information on the next slide to copy the words in the blank spaces on the worksheet. So for now, I'll just read it to you guys. The pronoun on is used to replace the third person subjects il and elle, him and her. On can also be used to replace the subject nous and the pronouns les gens and quelqu'un. We already know that nous means we, and les gens means the people or people, and quelqu'un means someone or somebody. When writing sentences, we can also use en to replace whole groups of people. So why do we use the pronoun on? Well, it is quicker and easier to use this pronoun when writing or, in some cases, speaking. So here's how this pronoun works. In order to rewrite a sentence using le pronom on, we replace the pronoun, like il, elle, nous, with on, and we conjugate the verb according to the pronouns il or elle. So you might want to put the video on pause for a minute just to read this over once or twice, and then we'll move on. All right, let's proceed. I've given you 3 examples here that show you how we change a sentence so that it uses le pronom on. So in the first example, est-ce que nous allons découvrir des animaux extraordinaires? Can we discover extraordinary animals? So we can write oui. On va découvrir des animaux extraordinaires. Yes, one can discover extraordinary animals. Now what I did, I chose to write this in the affirmative, so I started with we. Instead of nous, I took out nous and put in on. Allons comes from aller. And I think back to my conjugation chart for allons, and I know that il and elle conjugates to va. So on va, and then découvrir, it's already done here for us, des animaux extraordinaires. Here's a second example. Est-ce que les gens ont peur de l'anguille? Are people afraid of an eel? Again, I've chosen to write this in the positive. So I've written oui, on a peur de l'anguille. Yes, one is afraid of an eel. So I took out les gens, replaced it with on. Ont comes from avoir. So I think back to my avoir chart. Was il or elle, or on, it conjugates to a. And then I've got pour de l'huile. Next one. Est-ce que quelqu'un a attrapé le serpent? Did somebody catch the serpent? I'm going to try this in the negative. So I'm going to say non. On n'a pas attrapé le serpent. No, one did not trap the serpent. So quelqu'un, somebody, is going to be replaced with un. And now quelqu'un is the same as saying il or el. So in this case, a can just stay as it is because it's already the correctly conjugated form of avoir. I'm going to put ne and pas around a, and I can just write the rest of the sentence. Attraper le serpent. You might want to just rewind this video just to go back over what I've explained on this slide because it's quite a mouthful. So if you find that you've picked this up really quickly, that's great. Otherwise, make sure you go back at some point, whether right now or at the end of this video, and go back and review this, especially given what's coming up. So one last chance to put the video on pause and rewind. Okay, let's move forward. So on these next 3 slides, I'm going to be giving you some examples where you are going to take each sentence and rewrite it so that it uses le pronom on. Remember that you have to take the subject as it is originally written and replace it with on, and then you need to reconjugate the verb, or in some cases, the first verb. Okay, like here I've got 2 verbs, but I do need to reconjugate pouvant from pouvoir. To give you guys a guide, at the end, I'm giving you oui or non, meaning that you're putting them in the positive or the negative according to how I've directed you. So put the video on pause, and I want you to do as many of these 3 questions as you can. When you're ready, you can resume playing. Put the video on pause now. All right, let's move on to the next. Again, another 4 questions. Doing the same thing that you did on the last slide. Go put the video on pause. Do as many of these 4 questions as you can. Go. All right, and one more slide to practice with. 3 questions here. Again, answering each question in the positive or negative according to the word that's in the brackets and changing the subject to en and reconjugating the verb. Okay, so please put the video on pause so that you can try as many of these 3 questions as possible. Okay, so just to wrap up, we will go over these 10 sample questions in tomorrow's class, and you'll have a bit of time to do some work out of the cahier. But until we meet tomorrow, this concludes today's video.